On the line with us is becoming our new friend and one of our regular guests, and that would be none other than DeMareo Cooper, who is one of the co-executive directors of the Center for Popular Democracy. Good morning, DeMareo. Welcome back to the show.
Good morning, Richard. It's always good to be here. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. And we had this clip, and I was like, I said to Henry, we've got to get that clip in right before we have DeMareo on, because I know that you're going to have some things to say about that. But take a quick moment for those who may not have been familiar with you to just kind of reintroduce yourself to our audience and our listeners so that people throughout the country know who you are.
Yeah, my name is DeMareo Cooper. I'm a co-executive director at Popular Democracy, the Center for Popular Democracy, which is a national grassroots power building organization. It's a network of affiliates, 50 affiliates in 35 states, D.C. and Puerto Rico. We work on healthcare, housing, criminal justice reform, immigration, and a set of things that are about the quality of life of regular people and human beings. So.
There you go. DeMareo's been in the fight, y'all. That's my edited version. DeMareo's been in the fight, and he stays in the fight, and it's great to have you on again. So Frank Pallone, Representative Pallone, puts some teeth into it, and you guys have and are with regard to tomorrow. You guys are going to be you're planning to save our healthcare mobilization in D.C. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. We're working with a set of our affiliates and even some of our allies across the country, other networks, to really go to the Capitol and bring people from across the country who are going to have to deal with the impacts of these cuts. I mean, what you just played from Rep. Pallone is like. It is a clear understanding of what's going on right now. I don't know any other way to say it. The things that he said, I would boil down into like it's a grift. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, he made it plain, and that's. I will say this: that we need to encourage our Democratic elected officials and Democrats across the country in all shapes, forms, and fashions to please make it plain. And I even have to do that in my saying it. Make it plain. Real simple. Yeah. It's a grift. It's a grift, period. And when he talk about what he said, and I love how he put this, the only way they're going to get this money is to do damage to some of our legs to the stool. When he talked about the healthcare system, talk about that from your vantage point and what you see is happening that people need to be aware of.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing people need to understand is that he's saying a number like $1 trillion or over 800, almost $900 billion. These are hundreds of billions of dollars that take care of like 80 million people who depend on their health care through this system. And the thing is that, there's no way to take that amount of money. And I think people need to understand, like, when somebody's hustling you, they always tell you that the radio or the speaker works, right? Like, but they keep telling you over, you're like, hey, this cord looks frayed. They're like, nah, it works. But really what we're dealing with is a massive transfer of wealth. Right? Like these folks who are in office, I say this over here again and again, man, I do not believe these are Republicans. And, these are Confederates, man. These are people who are not interested in government. They're not interested in debate and will do anything they can to continue to take the American people's wealth and resources in order to enrich their friends and themselves. They say Elon Musk is finding and cutting fraud, waste, and abuse. But the truth is Elon Musk is cutting regular people. He's cutting you, the people who are listening to the show right now, out of the equation, out of the budget. And budgets are value statements. In the end of the day, a budget is a value statement. If you want to know what someone or a community or a country cares about, look at where they're spending their money. And right now, the American people have to realize that these people are not considering you. They do not value you. They do not value us when they think about how the money and resources of this country get spent. And so for us, this means that regular people actually have to stand up. You have to call your legislator. The Democrats who are what did my son's grandfather said that what did he say? They're sponge backed.
Pie bats.
yeah, right. Like spineless. Like you have to stand up right now, and if you're an elected official and you're questioning whether or not this makes sense, let me say from you to all the regular people that we talk to, all the regular people that we work with, that it completely does not make sense. You should stand against this, right? Like you cannot be a part of taking people's health care. We cannot be a part of destroying our school systems, and trying to make sure people can't learn and read.
Yeah.
It's just.
It's absolute insanity. And the thing that you said a moment ago, calling this Republican Party, this GOP party, not that, but they're Confederates. Take a moment for those of us in the cheap seats, no disrespect to anybody, put a little bit of salt and pepper on that for us.
So I would say, we could rewind a little bit and clarify it that, a bunch of people were upset when a black person from your state or who used to represent your state became the president of the United States. At that moment, there was a challenge to this person's citizenship saying, is this an American? Is it not American? And then an entire movement got created called the Tea Party that really was about trying to find some retribution for the fact that they felt they were losing the franchise. And this is just the truth, right? Like we can have a straight conversation. Then those folks were co-opted by another group of corporate elites and people who have always taken the pain and suffering of working class white folks and used it for the benefit of corporate enrichment and wealthy people taking more of the services from working people, right? Because there's this thing called racism in this country. So then they build this party, and then they look at the two and say, oh, if we go over there, we can pull that party using this, Southern strategy or, Lee Atwater dog whistle to pull the party so far to the right that then we can begin we can put our people in, and those folks can do the bidding of wealth and capital. And so what I'm saying that they're Confederates, what I'm saying is that they're using, when they say make America great again, they mean before the Civil Rights Amendment, before the Reconstruction Amendments, before the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. That's the America they're trying to get to. And we need to be aware that means that the responsibilities of the government to regular flesh and blood humans was different prior to the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. And so when I say they're Confederates, I mean they are the descendants of people who were traitors to this country, who were traitors to the Constitution, who tried to split and leave this country, right? This is the legacy of them using race, xenophobia to try to separate the country. And so under any circumstances, when you think about it, there's literally a South African sending emails to government employees, to people who help veterans, telling them that they don't have a job. That's not an American thing.
No, it's not.
That's not a patriotic thing. So this is what I'm saying. When I say these are Confederates, these are people who are not interested in the protections and the privileges and the things that we have as Americans that are protected by our Constitution, because they're trying to break it right now.
It's
right.
No. I wanted you to define that. That's why I asked you to put some salt and pepper on it, because people forget quickly about history and how in our lifetimes, yours and mine, DeMareo, and I'm a little bit older than you, that this is real. This is real-time garbage that's just being repackaged, if you will. And when you said moving the party so far to the right that they can put their people in, I talk oftentimes about when you remove something, if you don't fill it with what you want, it'll get filled with something else. And that the Republican Party is filled with a lot of they move themselves so far to a point that they can't recover now, and they've gone back to their Confederate days. There's no question about it. A couple quick other things that you said in that, which are critically important. Taking away benefits and services and things that are needed, that are important for people to sustain themselves. Republicans' budget is designed to do that. And frankly, when you talked about Musk, a South African who's destroying parts of our country, let's just call it what it is, y'all. He's destroying parts of our country. He wants to, based on the actions, kind of take us back to an apartheid-esque slave-like state. Are those words wrong?
I don't disagree. I mean, the guy called. He said that folks who receive health care, people who are being taken care of, working class families, kids, and seniors. Medicaid covers 40% of all children in the United States. This person said that these people are the parasite class.
Yeah.
Right.
So tie that to what you said earlier about numbers. So if 80 million people, let's put some light and math on this for everybody. 80 million people will be affected in a negative way by this budget. So let's break that down, guys. Let's just say that 50%, that's not all. How do I want to put this? Just election numbers. 78 million people roughly voted for Trump. 75 million roughly voted for Kamala Harris. So if 80 million people are going to be affected by this Republican budget in a negative way, not in a positive way, that means essentially half of each of the voting blocks are going to be affected by, if we just use simple math and not get too into the weeds, are going to be impacted by that. So part of this, though, DeMareo, and I know you see this, is that the voters are responsible for some of this carnage, because if 80 million people are impacted and we split it down the middle, half on the left, half on the right are going to be impacted by it. And that's, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no. I mean, that is the point. When you think about how many people in rural areas are going to get hurt. States that use Medicaid, that expanded Medicaid, saw fewer uninsured residents, stronger hospitals, and better health care, right? Like the states that were able to do it. And now you have a situation where they're taking this away. You're talking about less urgent cares. You're talking about less people being able to have medical coverage. And the thing about it is, to that number around the folks who voted, or the 78 million, there's another 90 million who didn't even participate. So 30%, 36% of the electorate didn't participate. This is why, you and your viewers and listeners and me and the folks that I work with across the country and our leaders, we have to go out and talk to all of the people who didn't vote, and not in a way that's like, this is your fault necessarily, even though we could have that conversation. But people need to be aware of the systems and structures we work under, right? When you think about, a bunch of folks who are MAGA folks and were frontlining, some of those folks are federal employees who don't have jobs now. You think about 31 million people. 31 million people is estimated are on Medicaid. Right? There's more white people on Medicaid than any other race, right? But those same folks think that when they made the vote or when they chose to be a MAGA person, that we were talking about somebody other than them. Like they forgot that they're in the working class, and that the wealthy are always trying to exploit our labor and our resources. This issue is going to be an issue everywhere, though. It's a linchpin issue. Healthcare, even in the deepest red districts, people are realizing that health care is a human right, that people need it. Republicans are now trying to push away and back up and figure out how they're going to have this message, like the clip you said before. They're twisting themselves and not trying to figure out how they're going to give these massive tax cuts without actually taking money out of Medicaid. And there's no other way to do it, right? And that's the thing that he was saying.
What do you think about in terms of bipartisan and growing the coalition? What do you think about what folks like AOC, and I've been saying this for weeks now, Democratic elected officials, Congress and Senate on a national level, need to go into red districts and take up the space that Republicans who don't want to do town halls are not doing? What do you think about that as a way to your point, kind of increase this coalition? Is that crazy, or does that make sense?
I think that when you're elected as a representative, you do come from a particular geographic district, but once you're sworn in, your job is to protect the American people. And part of that right now is actually having a conversation with the folks in areas. If their elected official is being told, hey, don't have town halls, right? Because that's some of the things we've heard. Hey, don't go back to the district and do town halls. People are going to be disruptive. We don't want you to do that. Then I think any way that we can help educate our fellow Americans about what's about to happen to them, we should. And I think that's a clever idea. I mean, one step further would actually be that people go and actually knock doors, find groups in smaller areas, find groups in districts that are red, and there are people like you, like me, and on every place in this country, and they might need some support right now, right? Like they may need some help, not go knock doors, having a conversation. But really, it's about, can we identify the things that people are really, the impacts of cutting Medicaid, like what that will have inside of families, the trauma that will cause inside of families. This is part of the reason why we're bringing a bunch of people from across the country, folks who are taking care of their family members, people who are directly responsible for it, people who are directly responsible for their own families and their children having these services. That's why we're bringing them to D.C. tomorrow on March 12th, along with our allies, to actually rally around this issue and around protecting Medicaid. We know this is an urgent moment. We have some elected officials who are planning to be there with us.
Good.
So we want some of their people, and actually some folks from MAGA districts are going to be at this rally. It's not like it's just,
that's the thing. I mean, I think that I'm hoping and praying. And first of all, let me slow down because we got to wrap up, unfortunately. DeMareo and I could talk about this for a long time, and that's why I said to him a few weeks ago, we want to make sure we have you back with some regularity, because this is a guy that's leaned in. He's leaning in so far he can see over the banister, and this is where so many of us need to be. But it's great to see that there are people who are plugged into the fact that this is impacting everybody. 80 million people with these cuts. That's half and half of each of the two electorate groups that voted in this last election, if you just want to use simple math. Listen, man, we're running fast and hard this morning, but
yes, sir.
Wrap us up by letting folks know, again, how they can find you and a reminder about tomorrow's mobilization in D.C.
Yeah, you can find us at populardemocracy.org or PopDemoc. And tomorrow we'll be at the Capitol. The action starts around 12 noon, actually around 11. And, really, if you can't make it to D.C., call your legislator tomorrow. Tomorrow, it would be great to do it at the same time, around 11, between 11 and 3. Can you pick up the phone, call your legislator, because then you'll be supporting us by making calls inside while we have people outside, and we're just trying to bring the awareness to folks, as many as possible. We, really appreciate this show, man. Always love coming on here. And, look, we together, together we will get through this.
Yep.
Together we will. We got to stay in the positive. Don't be fearful. Be strong. Yeah.
We all got to shoulder up. I don't say man up. I say shoulder up. So
that's right.
We all have to shoulder up. So DeMareo Cooper, y'all, thank you so much for being with us again, brother. And I'm looking forward to having you again next month. And we just keep this going forward. I know you're going to be busy, but make sure you're taking care of yourself, get some rest, and be ready for the next fight.
Yes, sir. Thank you, too. Thank you for everything you do, man.
All right, man. Be well. Be safe.
You too.
All right. DeMareo Cooper, y'all, with he's a co-executive director of the Center for Popular Democracy. Check them out. You want to get involved? You want something to do? There you go.